Welcome, minions, to this, our penultimate session of the first module of the three-part Night Below campaign adventure. Here at last, through 2 different playgroups and 28 sessions, the PCs are knocking at the door of the lair of the Bloodskull tribe of orcs. Pop some popcorn, settle in, and let's have at it. Roll the opener, imp. As is our fashion, the action is recreated using the Order of the Stick Monster for Every Season cutout minis. The players: Les as Aneshk, Lawful Good Human Paladin, level 6. Grant as Kindrith, Neutral Good Half-Elven Fighter Cleric of Lathander, level 4/4. Sean as Phallus, Chaotic Good Elven Thief, level 4. Ron as Callus, Chaotic Good Human Ranger, level 4. Claude as Tuck, Lawful Good Human Kensai, level 1. As Dave is absent for the session, a guest player will be sitting in. You know her as Starla, the Cleric of Foltis in the Old School Essentials campaign. Stephanie joins as Ariana, True Neutral Human Fighter, level 2. And of course, Aneshk's henchman Boris, Lawful Good Human Ranger. It has been days since the battle with the clerics of Ace-Erik in the Garlston mines. The team has used the time to heal and rest. During this time, they have been unable to activate the magic of the shrinking hut, and surmise that there's a limit to how often it can be used in a given time span. Also, among the magical items gained, Phallus has claimed the boots that the warrior was wearing, remembering that he clicked his heels during combat to activate them. The method does indeed work, and Phallus is equipped with boots of speed. Quipper has used the time to assemble the militia as possible help to explore the underground tunnels. Also with them is Ariana, a volunteer mercenary who was recruited in Milborn. The group discusses the plan to explore the underground passages, noting that both Imran and the priestess got away, so they will be expecting an incursion and have had time to prepare as well. Aneshk says there is no choice. The path is laid before them, and they must see it through. Kindrith offers Ariana a spare suit of his heavier armor, but as Ariana is an archer, she prefers to remain lightly armored for mobility and declines Kindrith's offer. Quipper informs the militia of the importance of the mission, but refuses to command any of these men to go into this dangerous situation. It'll be volunteers only. He stresses that there is no shame in declining, as this mission will test even the most hearty of souls. Of the 12 militia, only one is willing to brave the underground, a young farmer named Jackson. Quipper tells the team not to hold it against the others, as they are farmers and laborers with only minimal training. The group does not. Pfft, I would. Cowards. This is why you don't spare the rod, minions. They equip Jackson with plate mail for the journey. Once the team is ready, they plunge back into the Garlston mines, bent on finding and ending the Bloodskull tribe once and for all. They work their way through the mine, taking care in case threats linger. Phallus travels invisibly using the ring he took from the assassin and Thurmaster. Scouting ahead, Phallus sees several giant rats gnawing on the body of a dead dog, but upon the light of the approaching group hitting them, they flee into the dark. The team makes their way to the great sinkhole, where they inspect the braces to see if they've been tampered with or weakened. Once again, no one notices anything amiss, so Phallus climbs down to scout. Being an invisible elf certainly has its advantages, and he's able to spot 6 orcs hiding in the darkness under the lip of the sinkhole, armed with crossbows. Phallus quietly climbs back up to report. The team quickly concocts a plan wherein Phallus will scale back down and get into position to strike when the orcs are distracted, while Aneshk and Callus will rappel down and try and engage the orcs as quickly as possible. The rest will stay above with missile fire. They give Phallus enough time to get to the bottom, then launch. A successful surprise roll enables the team to get into place before the orcs are able to react. Combat is engaged. One orc calls out an order to his fellows in the orc tongue, telling them to stick to the plan. Aneshk and Callus have rappelled down with ropes, succeeding in the appropriate rolls and landing among the orcs ready for battle. There are 2 orcs on Aneshk, 2 on Callus and Phallus, and 2 in the clear. The 2 orcs not engaged in melee immediately move over and shoot up the shaft with their crossbows. Not to the other characters aiming down, however, but rather to the weak brackets holding the tons of stone and rubble up the sinkhole. The DM makes a structural saving throw. One fails, and a pronounced creak is heard as the rubble shifts and beams splinter. But nothing yet falls. Aneshk kills an orc, as does Callus. Phallus remains invisible in case a surprise blindside is needed. In the new round, the orcs attempt to flee. but 2 more are cut down by the Paladin and Ranger. The remaining 2 flee up the tunnel. Phallus uses his newly acquired boots of speed to chase them down and kill them before they can get away. The brackets above splinter and crack, eventually giving way to the weight. But the group had enough time to clear out to safety. Several tons of rock and dirt fall from above, spilling out onto the lower level. It fills the bottom of the sinkhole somewhat, but there is room to squeeze through. When the dust clears, the team above ties a rope off to climb down, as the debris destroyed many of the ladder rungs, while Aneshk, Callus, and Phallus work to clear a path at the bottom. After several turns of work, a way is finally clear, and the team above climbs down. They form up in the tunnel and push forward. No further obstacles or enemies bar their way forward. Sticking with the path they know rather than exploring other passageways, they quickly arrive at the Great Cavern and the entrance to the Underdark tunnels. From there, they begin a multi-day subterranean journey following the instructions Lee had previously gleaned from the halfling. The tunnels beneath Haranshire are a whole other ecosystem, and while the group has enough food for 2 weeks, they realize soon enough that there's no regular source of water down here. Kindrith changes his spell complement on the second day, taking a casting of Create Water every morning from that point onwards to top up the group's water skins. The first living thing they encounter are 2 fire beetles. Not being sure of the creature's abilities, they stay back and pelt them with arrow fire, killing one and injuring the other. Morale breaks, so it scuttles off to a warren too tight for them to follow. They continue on. They talk as they travel, making plans. New recruit Ariana quietly observing them, listening to their stories of battle and glory. It is indeed several days through the long, dark passage. It is of course not a 10-foot corridor, rather a varied cave, sometimes narrow, sometimes wide. They follow the prescribed route. It isn't long after following this path that the dog is alerted to something ahead and snarls. Hackles raised. Phallus, using invisibility, scouts ahead to find a dozen orcs ready for battle and marching towards them with purpose. It's clear to Phallus that the orcs know the team is there. He returns to report, and the orcs arrive shortly thereafter. A round of missile fire, followed by a charge by both sides, sees combat joined. Phallus emerges from his invisible state to land a backstab. Imran, the cleric of Ace-Erik, appears at the rear guard and casts Hold Person. The spell gets Phallus, but others make their saves. Kindrith attempts a Hold Person of his own on Imran, but the priest shakes it off. Imran attempts another Hold Person against the group. Callus barrels through the melee and makes a run at Imran while his dog charges in with him, but they fail to disrupt the second Hold Person spell, which gets Callus. Kindrith advances and engages in melee with the cleric to protect the paralyzed Callus. Imran is prepared to fight to the death this time, and calls out, "For Ace-Erik!" Ariana shoots at first, but then abandons her bow to engage with a sword and axe. Her melee combat skills aren't as impressive as her missile skills, however, and she watches as the mighty Aneshk cleaves through the enemies with ease. Tuck and Jackson use the reach of their polearms to attack from the safety of the rear flank. The orcs are barely a match for this team, and the group makes short work of them. With the orcs before him dead, Aneshk charges the cleric, dealing a near-fatal blow to Imran, followed by Callus's dog, finishing the job. They check the bodies, collecting a meager amount of coin. Imran is armed with mundane gear now, anything magical having been taken by the group on their previous encounter. On him they do find a gilded key of special design. They take that and move on, but only after trying to load up Jackson with crossbows and bolts. Realizing that the weight is too much, they simply give him a full quiver of bolts and 1 heavy crossbow. Moving forward, after more than 4 days in the dark tunnels, they finally come to a massive set of bronze doors set into the walls. There are 2 ornate keyholes, 1 on each door. They don't even hesitate to try the gilded key they found on Imran, and it does indeed fit, but only in 1 of the 2 key locks. Attempting to use the key in one while Phallus attempts to pick the other fails, but Phallus is able to ascertain that the lock is of magnificent quality. Someone more skilled than he is needed to pick this lock. The group immediately thinks of Dub, whose skill with locks far surpasses Phallus, but it's immaterial as he's not there. They camp out nearby, waiting to see if anyone comes out, but nothing happens during the first night. They decide to leave a marker of some kind on the door so they know if it has been opened, then continue to scout down the long tunnel beyond the doors. Keeping track of time without the sun is difficult, however, but after what seems like half a day, they come to a dead end. They return to the bronze doors and wait. The marker on the door indicates that it was in fact opened while they were gone. They wait again, hoping to ambush a group. The DM checks for encounters, and a bombardier beetle emerges from the tunnel. Kindrith is on watch, and easily has time to wake the others, as it doesn't appear aggressive, at least not initially. As the humans need the light to see, unveiling their tokens with continual light agitates the beetle. The DM checks both morale and reaction. A hostile reaction, but failed morale, sees the beetle moving back and clicking aggressively, but not coming any closer or attacking. The team retreats, opting not to provoke it. Phallus moves invisibly to the side, but the creature seems to know he's there and moves in his direction threateningly. Phallus returns to the group. Eventually, however, the beetle departs without a fight. Even though they expect something to come out of those bronze doors, they decide that they should go back and report to Quipper, but not before exploring another branch of these underground tunnels. The second branch leads them to another dead end, but it's a cavern with an opening 40 feet up. They can see daylight streaming in from a hole above. It's discussed that they might send Phallus up and lower a rope, but he would have to scale the ceiling vertically for a bit, and a fall could kill him. So they err on the side of caution and head back the other way. Many days later, they return to the Garlston mine, climb through the rubble of the sinkhole, and emerge into the daylight. Quipper and the militia have set up their camp near the mine. They report finding the doors to Quipper and show him the key. To their surprise, he reveals that he has one just like it. Last year, a priest of Mask called Nomger came to his farm, bent on murder. He and Maxim drove them off, but not before killing a horde of zombies that Nomger was using as pack mules. Among the gear that was being hauled, Quipper found this key, but he didn't know of its significance. He gives the key to Aneshk, and Aneshk states that they will open the bronze doors and assail the Bloodskulls on the next excursion. They return to the town of Milborn to rest for a week while Tuck, an armorer, tends to Aneshk's very damaged armor, and the team can prepare properly. Ariana spends this time with the group at Milborn, particularly Phallus, until they are ready to return to the Garlston mine, at which point she bids them well and departs. The session concludes there. But a week later in Arabelle, Ariana meets up with her employers, who know her as Aliera Ikira, Human Assassin, Level 4. Nomger and other representatives of the Assassin's Guild are present as she turns over a trinket she stole from Phallus, the Ring of Invisibility, which she swapped out with a fake before departing. Her mission, a complete success.
Dun dun dun!
Intrigue, minions. I know the idea that a player infiltrated the group as a spy and stole a precious magic item isn't going to sit well with a few people, but get over it. These are the big leagues now, and there are factions at play. Let's talk about that first, shall we? So, when Steph planned to guest in, she initially requested that she be a ranger. But as this team is a rather ranger-rich party, the DM made 3 character options, including the assassin you saw at play. Anyone who's watched from episode 1 knows that an Assassin's Guild presence is already a thing, as the original PCs in this campaign were from the guild, even though the current players haven't crossed paths directly. Enjoying the prospect of stepping away from the honorable character type, as with her role as Starla in the Old School Essentials game, she selected the assassin. The DM informed her of her mission, report and learn everything she could about this group, and confirm that they had the Ring of Invisibility, which is guild property. A simple spy mission. Recovering the ring was a bonus, but at the very least she was to confirm that they still had it. You see, minions, this ring belonged to the assassin they killed during the Siege of Thurmaster, and the guild naturally wants it back. So PC or NPC, this was a possible outcome one way or the other eventually. It was just a lot more fun to have a PC do it. Now, to pull the theft off, the spy chart in the DMG was used, and the odds of getting caught were based on difficulty. If she were just information gathering, it would have been easy. But since Steph secretly indicated to the DM that she was going to make a play for the ring, the difficulty was increased. The DM did the roll on the chart, and a pickpockets roll to complete the task. Both were successful. Though, full disclosure, the little cutscene at the end with Ariana turning the ring over to Nomger was just some garnish for the video. That wasn't actually role-played out. Regarding the gilded key, that was a Night Below thing that had to be dealt with. First off, I think it's a stupid notion personally. Probably better just being rid of it. Really, a 4-day journey through uninviting subterranean tunnels is enough of a security measure, let alone an unpickable double lock that literally requires defeating 2 different bosses on opposite ends of the land. It all seems very video gamey to me. But, in the name of playing what's written as much as possible, the DM went with it and adapted accordingly. There are any number of ways the DM could have done it. It's not really a big deal. The 2 gilded keys are needed to open the bronze double doors. The first one is acquired from Ranchifus, which Nomger and crew claimed when they beat him. Of course, they had no idea what the key was for, but kept it on hand. When Team Evil dissolved, the location of the key became somewhat important now that Team Goody Good was coming in. so it was simply determined that it got left behind after Nomgair's ill-fated attempt to murder Quipper in episode 10. The second key is supposed to be claimed after killing Shylek, the priestess. But as morale broke and she fled, that didn't happen either, and in the moment the DM neglected to include it in items left behind for the sake of convenience. As it's a necessary item to progress, there are various routes to consider, aside from just eliminating the need for keys, of course, which would have been the path of least resistance. The DM could just lay it out as a slow burn, as they come into repeated conflict with Shylek again and again, and finally claim the key when they do defeat her. Or have the key find its way to them sooner, in this case, the ambush by Imran. While the first option is generally more preferable from a more organic and emergent style of play, a real-world schedule and obligations from the players and DM meant that a more expedient path was necessary, and so it was done. A minor blip, justified within context. Moving on. I do have to say that the underground tunnels beneath Haranshire are a major disappointment, and a bit of a blemish on what is otherwise a well-laid-out and compelling scenario. There's no flavor to them, no descriptions, no section dedicated to helping the DM describe the experience to the players. These tunnels range for miles beneath the breadth of the entire land, one which the PCs are meant to explore for days on end, possibly even get lost. There's an encounter chart teeming with life, but the tunnels are at best described as a 10-foot-wide passage. The missed opportunity here is that this is meant to be an upper-level access to the Underdark. Rather than give us a whole chapter of Underdark preview encounters to prepare the players for the deeper descent in the upcoming modules, we're giving nothing at all. The Underdark is a vast, sweeping world with its own biosystems and ecologies, races and monsters. In the least, a few encounters, lairs, and tantalizing samples of what the full Underdark has to offer as an adventure locale would have been an ideal addition. As it stands, it's on the DM to add that flavor. Otherwise, you'll have players essentially wandering through a 10-foot corridor for literal days. For my money, that's a glaring oversight in publication. For all of that effort that went into the handouts, battle maps, tokens, monster sheets, etc., you'd think that even a page of guidance for these tunnels would have been included. The stage is set, minions. The big final battle looms next session. The lair of the Bloodskull orcs. And joining in is a special guest player. John, the old geek, playing in person for this momentous occasion as the team completes the first of the 3 Night Below modules. Stay tuned for my summons, minions. It promises to be a good one. Ta for now.